We are actually inside the tomb of the most famous king in the world, Tutankhamun. The discovery of this tomb on November 4th, 1922 made mystery and magic in the hearts of everyone, everywhere. Because in that day, Howard Carter found maybe the first and the most important intact tomb ever found, full of 5,000 artifacts. Most of the artifacts were actually made of gold, and people love the word gold. Carter stayed many years recording and examining and restoring all these monuments. And I really, when I look at this tomb and I see how comparing the 5,000 artifacts with a tomb like this, I feel that King Tut died suddenly and his original tomb was not finished. Then they came to this tomb and they just painted this, which will take a week to do, showing King Tut as a mummy, taking him to the cemetery, and now eyes opening the mouth of King Tut as Osiris in the afterlife, telling him, I open your eyes, then you can see. I open your nose, then you can smell. I open your mouth, then you can eat. And the other scene showing him in front of the gods and goddesses, and this is a part of what's called the Imidwat, what is in the netherworld, what they will face in the netherworld. You have to know that when I came here in January 5, 2005, I came here to examine the mummy of King Tut for the first time by CT scan. You heard about this?
Yes.
Okay. That day, I was so afraid because there was many people attacking us. They said, why are you taking the mummy out? And I was afraid that anything can happen to the mummy. When I arrived to the Valley of the Kings, it was at 5 o'clock. When all the tourists left, I made an interview for the Japanese TV. After I finished the interview, it was raining and a big storm. I could hear the people saying the curse. And this reminds us back when the tomb was found in 1922 and Howard Carter was opening the tomb to Lord Carnarvon, and Lord Carnarvon died after that. And people said that he died because of the curse of Tutankhamun. And Howard Carter was dismissed from Egypt. Many things happened that made the people, even when they found in front of the golden shrine this magical brick, and they began to translate the curse inscription in a bad way. It's not really true what the people write in the paper. This magical brick just for protection, but it's not really a curse inscription that anyone who will come to the tomb of Tutankhamun, his curse will rest on him. That's not true. The curse, there is no such word called curse. If you close this tomb for 3,000 years, and inside this tomb will be a mummy. The mummy will make germs that you cannot see. If you enter the tomb quickly, the germ can hit you. People die. But I myself, when I discover something, a tomb, I leave it open for a day until the bad air will go out and the fresh air will go in. And I never shave, because when you shave, things are open and the germs can really hit you. And therefore, when I came here and we took this glass out, and I took this coffin outside, we put it here, and I took the mummy, I looked MirJana at his face, and I said to myself, I'm face to face with Tutankhamun. That was one of the best moments in my life. And I found a card on the tomb. In this card, it said that in November 11, 1925, Howard Carter came to examine the mummy. He found that the golden mask that you see at the museum is completely covered was in the chest of the mummy. and it was tied, and over 104 pieces inside the mummy and outside the mummy. He took the mummy outside to put it under the sun in case the mask with the body will be melted. It never happened. He moved the mummy to the tomb of Seti II, and he began with tools, with fire, to try to take the golden mask out. He damaged the mummy to 18 pieces. He wanted in that time to examine the mummy with X-ray. He invited someone to come from England, but this person died on his way to Cairo, and people talked more about the curse. In 1968, an Englishman, his name is Harrison, came and they did examine the mummy with X-ray, and Harris did it in 78. Since then, people said he died at the age of 18, people say 20, others say 25 to 27. How he died? Everyone believed that he was murdered. But when I took this mummy out from here and we put it under the CT scan, and the amazing thing that the machine was stopped for 1 hour without reason. And people began to talk more about the curse more. But actually, when we took the images of the mummy and the radiologists began to examine the images, they found out that King Tut died on the age of 19. And there is no evidence of a blow to the back of the head or indication of a foul play. But we found there is a fracture on the left leg that happened 1 day before he died, and it caused infection, and that may be the cause of his death. But after that, we thought that we need to change King Tut to be like me and you. Then we took these images to scientists. They used forensic method, forensic techniques, and they made a model made of plaster. And after that, when they made the plaster face, then they made from that another reconstruction. They covered it with mud. Covering it with mud to show the sculpture of the face. And after they made a model of silicone, and they did add the eyes, color the hair, the face, based on the evidence that they see in the statues at the Cairo Museum. And actually, when they did that, they did reconstruct the face, and we gave this to 3 teams, an Egyptian one, an American one, and a French one. We did not tell the American one that this is King Tut, and he came with some images, but the Egyptian did make the reconstruction of the face, but he looks old, like 30 years old, but he looks Egyptian. The French did it. When I took the photograph of the French to the Cairo Museum, I found out that he looks like this actually statue at the Cairo Museum that show King Tut is getting out from the lotus flower. And that is amazing to show to you that how really we change the dead to alive. Then the CT scan machine actually will tell us lots of things about diseases, lots of things about the life of the people. It changed the dead to alive. And that's really what we did with Tutankhamun.
What about American? They didn't know, and what did...
No, the Americans, when they did the reconstruction, they did not have the time to finish it. And therefore, I could not really see any evidence of it. But I did like the French and the Egyptian reconstruction. And you know, they found that he was a normal person. He was not really a Negro, what people are saying. He was a Semitic person as an Egyptian. And a young man died in the age of 19. And now we can see mummies for the first time that they can look like me and you. First, I would like to tell you that we have many important discoveries at Giza. The most important discovery that it tells us very important evidence about the Egyptians is the discovery of the tombs of the pyramid builders. This discovery proved to the world that the builder of the pyramids were Egyptians, and also pyramids were not built by slaves. We found the lower cemetery of the workmen who moved the stones, and the upper cemetery is for the technicians, draftsmen and craftsmen. And near the excavation, we found the area for making bread and making sorting salted fish, and we found evidence that they sleep in one house for about 55 workmen, and they get up early in the morning and they go under a door. It's called the door of the crow. They come moving the stones and they go back. And we have evidence also that the Egyptian left medical emergency treatment in the site. Means they had doctors in the site to save the workmen if they had any kind of accident, because we found many workmen had broken hands and they put wood to support the hands. And even another workman had an amputation. They cut his leg and he lived for 14 years after that. Also near the workmen houses, we found evidence that they slaughter every day about 11 cows and 33 goats. And this can feed about 10,000 workmen a day. And this actually are the number of the workmen that we believe they were involved in constructing the Great Pyramid of Khufu. The second important discovery that we found actually the tombs of the officials of in the time of the Pyramid of Khufu. We found a tomb of a dwarf, and inside the tomb a beautiful statue of the dwarf. We found also a tomb of a priest of Khufu, of Cheops, and his name was Kai, with a beautiful seated statue. And all this really tells us about the people who were actually involved in building the pyramid. But the most important discovery is really revealing the secrets of the pyramids. We have been trying to find out what's inside the pyramid since 1993, because you know there is many people have a speculation that pyramids built by people came out of the space, and they have theories about Atlantis and things like that. The story of revealing the secrets of the pyramids began in 1993 when I closed the Great Pyramid of Khufu for the first time to stop humidity. Because every tourist who enters inside the pyramid gives about 20 grams of water, and this water becomes salt. And therefore we closed the pyramid and mechanically we removed the salt away. Then we hired a German, his name is Gentenbrink, and we asked him to try to clean the so-called air shafts. They are not shafts for air. They are model corridor that maybe has religious reason, but really we don't know actually the function of these shafts. We sent a robot from the second chamber on the northern shaft, and we found that the shaft was closed after 19 meters. It doesn't go further. But when we sent the robot on the other shaft, the south shaft, it was stopped in front of a door with two copper handles. Since 1993, everyone is asking what is really hidden behind this door. Until about 2 years ago, we had another robot, and we went to the south door. We opened one hole about 1 centimeter. We sent a camera, and we found after the first one a second door. Then it became a mystery. Then we went again in the northern door, and we found it's not stopped. It's bending for 8 meters. Why it's bending? Maybe to avoid the Grand Gallery. But after 60 meters, we found a third door with two copper handles. Then it becomes a mystery. What is the function of these shafts and these doors? I did climb the pyramid, and I found that these shafts are not open from outside. And this is why I actually believe that the burial chamber, the secret chamber of Cheops, is still inside the pyramid. And these doors could be a mark of the location of the chamber. In this coming October, we contacted Singapore University, and actually they designed for us a robot. And this robot will use to go through the second door and through the third door to find out really what is hidden beside these doors. And this, of course, will be the most important thing, that the year 2005 will be the year that will actually reveal the secret of the pyramid. And we have a radar to show really what's hidden under the ground. And you know, we found evidence about building the pyramid. We found all the stones that the Egyptians took. They took it from the south of the pyramid here, only about 300 meters. And they made one ramp from the quarry to the southwest corner of the main pyramid, because we found evidence of the ramp on the south of the pyramid. Then they made the ramps around the pyramid actually when they raised the pyramid. And the most important discovery that we found, that the base of the pyramid were built of a solid rock about 9 meters high. And this is why the stones of the pyramids are not really actually 2,300,000 blocks as people say. You know, at Giza here, I always say that we found very little. We still reveal lots of secrets about the pyramid. When I started this excavation in the area behind the Sphinx and the second pyramid, we found major important discoveries. And this is one of them. It's a tomb that we did not open yet. We excavated down about 10 meters. And after that, we found another surprise. And we found here about 6 small rooms. And we found in this room a wooden box. And inside the wooden box, we found 600 statues. They call it shawaptas. They put these statues beside the deceased to answer the questions in the afterlife, and also in the same time to serve the deceased in the afterlife. They were supposed to be 404 statues, one statue for every day, to serve the deceased. 365 statues, 35 statues for overseers, and 4 statues for directors. As a matter of fact, we did not really excavate the whole thing yet. Still, we have to go maybe 5-6 meters more. And I believe that this tomb is completely intact. And this is dated to about 500 BC, which is Dynasty 26. And it should be a tomb for an important man, maybe a priest, because we know in Dynasty 26, Khufu was worshipped as a god. And there was 5 priestesses who served the cult of this king. And this to show that Giza Plateau still contain lots of secrets. And I always tell the people, you never know what the sand of Egypt may hide of secrets. The Sphinx is, you know, it has a face of a king and a body of a lion. And many people think there is always something underneath the Sphinx. But you know, I did bring Florida State University, and they did use radar. And they said there is something underneath the right paw of the Sphinx. They wanted to drill. In 1977, Stanford Research Institute said the same. And they did drill. For about 20 meters under the Sphinx, they found nothing. They proved that the Sphinx is a solid rock or even rock. And therefore, there is really nothing underneath the Sphinx. It's a legend. People think about it. I did excavate around the Sphinx. I found 4 shafts inside. I found 1 shaft behind the Dream Stela. It goes for about 2 meters, nothing inside it. I found the second shaft behind the head. It goes 5 meters inside the body. And we have a photograph of another shaft was opened in 1922. But the last shaft on the tail of the Sphinx is very interesting. When I opened it, I went inside for about 12 meters. And nothing has been found inside them. And this to show that maybe in the late period, people still talk about the legend of the Sphinx. The Sphinx is hidden under the Sphinx. And that's why they keep searching about these legends always. But you have to know, I have been excavating at Giza for the last 20 years. I found really nothing about lost civilization. Everything we discover about the Egyptians and the workmen were involved in the construction of the pyramid.